What if I told you that the clock you glance at every morning, the calendar hanging on your wall, and even the very idea of yesterday, today, and tomorrow are not real? What if time itself, that invisible master that seems to rule every decision you make, is nothing more than an illusion, a construct, a clever trick of the human mind? Imagine for a moment that everything you thought you knew about time, it's ticking. Its passing, its relentless march forward is not an ultimate truth, but a story we've been telling ourselves for thousands of years. Wouldn't that change the way you look at your life, your struggles, your dreams, and even your fears? From the moment we are born, time takes control. We are given a date of birth. We are told when to start school, when to graduate, when to work, when to retire, and eventually, our time is expected to run out. Every achievement is measured in years. Every failure is defined by timing. And every joy seems fleeting because the clock is always ticking. We rush through our days, haunted by the fear of running out of time, yet we rarely stop to ask the most important question. What is time really? Scientists, philosophers, and mystics alike have tried to answer this. To Einstein, time was not a fixed river flowing from past to future, but something relative, stretching and bending depending on speed and gravity. To ancient mystics, time was an illusion woven into the fabric of human perception, a veil that hides the eternal now. And to you, sitting here listening, time feels like both your greatest enemy and your most precious resource. You feel it slipping away with every second, yet you also know that a single moment can feel like forever. So which is it? Is time real, or is it the greatest illusion of all? Think about how strange time really is. A minute in the dentist's chair feels like an eternity, but an hour spent laughing with friends disappears in a heartbeat. 5 years of working at a job you hate can feel like wasted decades. But one unforgettable summer can stay alive in your memory forever. If time were an absolute fixed thing, why would it feel so different depending on our experiences? This is the first clue that time is not what we think. It is not simply passing. It is being created inside of us. And yet, we've built our entire civilization around the illusion of time. We cut it into seconds, minutes, hours, and days. We measure progress in centuries and lifetimes. We even worship it in our own way, bowing down to deadlines, anniversaries, and schedules. Time has become a god in disguise, and we have become its worshippers. But what happens when you pull back the curtain? What happens when you realize that the ticking clock is not the master of your life, but only a tool created to organize existence? The truth is unsettling. Past, present, and future may all exist at once. Some physicists believe that all moments are eternal. It's like pages in a book already written, and we are simply reading them one at a time. Others suggest that time itself is born out of consciousness, that without an observer, time ceases to exist. Imagine that time doesn't exist outside of you. It is your perception, your awareness, your memory, and your anticipation that weave together the illusion of time. You are not in time. Time is in you. So why does this illusion matter? Because it shapes the way you live. You hurry because you think time is short. You regret because you believe the past is gone. You worry because you think the future has not yet come. But if past, present, and future are all one eternal moment, then your regrets and your worries are like shadows in a dream, powerful only because you believe they are real. To awaken from this illusion is to realize that you have always been free, not bound by hours or years, but alive in the timeless now. The greatest spiritual teachers throughout history have hinted at this truth. Be still and know, they said. Live in the moment. The kingdom of heaven is within you. All of these are reminders that eternity is not somewhere far away, but right here, hidden inside each passing second. When you understand this, time loses its power to terrify you. Death becomes less frightening, because the soul is not bound by clocks. Life becomes more meaningful, because you see that every moment contains infinity within it. And yet, most of us continue to chase time. We say we don't have enough of it, that it is running out, that we must save it, spend it, or kill it. But how can you lose something that doesn't exist? How can you kill something that was never alive? These words reveal the depth of our illusion, the way we have become prisoners of a phantom. The truth is, you don't need more time, you need more presence. So as you sit here, listening, breathing, existing, ask yourself, if time is an illusion, then what are you? Are you a victim of seconds slipping through an hourglass, or are you the timeless awareness watching it all unfold? Asterisk, to understand just how powerful the illusion of time is, imagine stepping outside of it for a moment. Picture yourself floating above the earth. looking down not only at cities and oceans, but at history itself. From that vantage point, you wouldn't just see today, you would see yesterday and tomorrow. Side by side, like chapters of a book already written. The battles of the past, the inventions of tomorrow, the laughter of children yet to be born, all of it existing at once, layered together in a vast tapestry of moments. To you, standing outside the illusion, time would not be a line but a landscape, and every event would be simply another point in space. This is not just a poetic vision. It is what modern physics suggests. Einstein's theory of relativity shows us that time does not pass at the same speed for everyone. For a person traveling close to the speed of light, time slows down. For someone standing near a black hole, gravity bends time so dramatically that what feels like minutes to them could be centuries for someone far away. In other words, time is not fixed, bends, stretches, and warps, depending on where you are and how fast you move. So how can something so flexible be considered an ultimate reality? But while science questions the reality of time, so do ancient wisdom traditions. Mystics from India, Egypt, Greece, and beyond spoke of a deeper truth, that only the present moment is real, and past and future are illusions. The Upanishads describe the eternal now as the stage upon which the dance of life unfolds. Buddhist teachings remind us that clinging to the past or worrying about the future is suffering, and that liberation comes only from awakening to this moment. Even in the West, philosophers like Augustine admitted that time is a mystery. What, then, is time? If no one asks me, I know. If I wish to explain it, I do not. It seems humanity has always sensed that time is not what it appears to be. Asterisk, and yet, despite this knowledge, we remain trapped in its illusion. Why? Because our brains are designed to perceive time. Memory creates the illusion of the past. Anticipation creates the illusion of the future. And our awareness stitches them together into what we call the present. Without memory, there would be no yesterday. Without imagination, there would be no tomorrow. Time exists because we create it in our minds, but this very creation enslaves us. We become addicted to the ticking clock, measuring our worth in deadlines and birthdays, in accomplishments and failures, all tied to the passing of time. Think about how much stress in your life comes from time. You rush to meet deadlines. You feel guilty for wasting time. You fear getting older, watching the years slip away. This anxiety is not caused by reality, but by an illusion, by a belief that time is scarce and slipping through your fingers. But what if you realize that time is not running out because it was never running in the first place? That the only thing that exists is this moment, stretching infinitely in every direction. Suddenly, the pressure lifts. Suddenly, life becomes spacious again. Let's test this idea. Close your eyes for a second and try to find the past. Where is it? Only in memory. Now try to find the future. Where is it? Only in imagination. The past is gone, the future has not arrived, and yet you are here. This moment is all there is. The rest is illusion. Asterisk, but here's the paradox. Although time may be an illusion, it is a useful one. Civilization would crumble without clocks and calendars. We would miss appointments, lose track of planting seasons, forget when to celebrate birthdays. The illusion of time is necessary for life on Earth, but the danger comes when we confuse the tool for the truth. Time was meant to serve us, but instead, we have become its servants. And perhaps the most tragic part is that by believing in time too deeply, we often miss life itself. We postpone happiness, saying, I'll be happy when I graduate, when I get the job, when I find love, when I retire. We live as though the present moment is only a stepping stone to some future happiness. And in doing so, we sacrifice the only reality we ever truly have. Asterisk, imagine what it would mean to break free from this illusion, to no longer chase after the future or cling to the past, but to live fully in the eternal now. To savor the taste of food, the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, without thinking of what comes next. This is the freedom the mystics spoke of, the liberation hidden in plain sight, and yet few dare to claim it, because we are so deeply conditioned to obey the clock. So, is time real, or is it an illusion? The answer is both. It is real as a construct, as a tool, as a framework. But it is an illusion when we take it as the ultimate truth. Beyond the ticking of clocks, beyond the turning of calendars, beyond the rise and fall of years, there is something timeless. And the deeper you look, the more you begin to realize that timelessness is not somewhere far away, is what you are, asterisk. If time is not as real as we believe, why does it feel so powerful, so unshakable, so unavoidable? The answer lies in the way we experience it. Time is not an external force pressing down on us. It is an internal rhythm flowing through our perception. Our hearts beat, our lungs breathe, our cells divide, our planets orbit. From these cycles, we create the illusion of time. The rising sun gives us day and night. The changing moon gives us months. The turning earth around the sun gives us years. What we call time is in truth simply the measurement of motion. Without motion, there would be no time. Without change, no clock would ever tick. But because motion is everywhere, we mistake it for something absolute. We see our bodies aging, our loved ones growing older, our memories fading, and we think, this is proof that time is real. Yet aging is not the passing of time, it is the unfolding of processes. Cycles of biology and chemistry, nature revealing its patterns. We call it time, but it is really change, and still this illusion rules us. We wake up to alarms, we rush to appointments, we dread birthdays that mark another year gone. Time becomes a kind of silent tyrant, shaping how we feel about ourselves and the world. Consider how deeply our emotions are tied to it. Nostalgia pulls us backward. Regret chains us to what cannot be undone. Anxiety hurls us into a future that hasn't yet arrived. Entire lifetimes are spent in these illusions. While the present moment, the only true reality, slips through our fingers unnoticed, think about it. How many hours of your life have you wasted replaying past mistakes in your mind? How many nights have you lost worrying about a future event that never even happened? Time enslaves us not because it is real, but because we believe in its story so completely. It is not the clock that binds us, but our attachment to the idea that we are trapped within it. Science has begun to uncover just how strange this attachment is. In quantum physics, particles do not move in a smooth timeline from past to future. Instead, they exist in probabilities, where past, present, and future blur together. Some interpretations even suggest that the future can influence the present, just as the past does a reality where cause and effect are not as simple as we think. If at the most fundamental level of the universe, time does not flow in a straight line, then why do we cling so tightly to the illusion that it does? Perhaps because without it, we feel lost. Time gives us structure. It gives us a sense of progression, a sense of story. A life without time feels meaningless, like pages without numbers, a song without rhythm. And so, we cling to it, even though it may not be ultimately real. Time comforts us even as it controls us. But if we dare to see through the illusion, everything changes. Imagine living without the constant pressure of not enough time. Imagine never again feeling too old, too late, or too rushed. Imagine realizing that you are not a prisoner of hours and years, but a timeless being having a temporary human experience. Suddenly, life becomes lighter, freer, more expansive. You are no longer running out of time, because you recognize that you were never in time to begin with. Mystics call this awakening the art of presence. To be present is to step out of the illusion and into eternity. When you are fully present, time stops. A single moment of all watching a sunset, holding a loved one's hand. Listening to music that moves your soul feels infinite. In that moment, the past and future dissolve, and only the eternal now remains. This is a glimpse of truth. It's a reminder of what has always been there beneath the ticking of clocks. Yet this truth is not easy to hold. The world constantly pulls us back into the illusion. Deadlines, schedules, responsibilities, all of them demand our obedience to time. And so, the challenge is not to abandon time completely, but to master it. To use time as a tool, without allowing it to become your master. To live in rhythm with the clock when you must, but to step beyond it whenever you can. Into the timeless awareness that is your true nature. You may not be able to stop the calendar from turning, but you can stop believing that it defines you. You are not your age, you are not the minutes you've lived, or the hours you have left. You are the awareness in which all these illusions appear. The body may age, the world may change, but youth, the timeless presence, remain untouched. So the real question is not, how much time do I have? But, how fully am I living right now? When you awaken to the illusion of time, you stop measuring life in years and start measuring it in depth and love given. Wisdom learned, beauty experienced, joy shared. And in that shift, you discover the secret that sages and scientists alike have whispered. Time may be an illusion, but life itself is eternal. Asterisk, if time is the illusion that rules our lives, Then to break free from it is to awaken to a different kind of existence altogether. Imagine how different your relationships would be if you no longer measured them in years or milestones. Instead of asking, "How long have we been together?" or "How much longer will this last?" you would ask, "How deeply are we connected in this moment?" The quality of presence would replace the quantity of time. A conversation would not be valued for how many hours it lasted, but for the truth it carried. A friendship would not be judged by the number of years, but by the authenticity it held. And think of the choices you make under the tyranny of time. How many dreams have you put aside because you told yourself it was too late? How many risks have you avoided because you feared wasting time? How many joys have you delayed, believing that the right time had not yet arrived? Time imprisons us not only with its ticking, but with its judgments. Too soon, too late, too old, too young. But what if those judgments were lies? What if there was never a right time or a wrong time, but only the eternal now, waiting for your courage to act? Consider how this illusion shapes our greatest fear, the fear of death. We fear death not only because it represents the unknown, because it feels like the end of time, the final ticking of the clock. We believe that, when our allotted years run out, we vanish into nothingness. But if time is an illusion, then death too is transformed. Death becomes not the end of time, but the lifting of its veil. What if, when the body falls away, we awaken to a reality beyond time, where past and future collapse into one endless now? Suddenly, death is not an ending, but a return, like waking up from a dream you thought was real. The mystics tell us that this is exactly what happens. They say that the soul is timeless, untouched by the illusion of hours and years. The body is born, grows, and dies, but the awareness within it, the true self, remains, outside of time's grasp. Near-death experiences echo this truth. With countless accounts of people describing timeless states of light, peace, and clarity, they return with the knowledge that time, as we know it, was only a cloak they wore for a little while. Asterisk, if this is true, then living under the illusion of time is like wearing shackles that don't exist. We are prisoners of a prison with no walls. At any moment, we could walk free, but we remain inside because the world has taught us that the shackles are real. To awaken is to realize that the key has always been in our hands. And here is the paradox. By stepping out of time, we don't lose our lives, we find them. For life is not happening in the past or future. Life is not something you can store in memory or hope for in imagination. Life is always here, now. The eternal present is not a point between past and future. It is the only reality that ever was or ever will be. The past is a shadow, the future a dream, but the present is alive, burning with existence. To awaken to this is to step into eternity while still alive. But let's be honest, living this way is not easy. The world is constantly demanding our obedience to time. We have schedules to keep, responsibilities to fulfill, bills to pay. We cannot simply throw away our clocks and live in timeless bliss. Yet within the structure of time, we can learn to hold a deeper awareness. We can learn to move through the illusion without being ruled by it. This means learning to pause in the middle of your busy day and remember, there is only now. It means noticing the texture of your life not in years, but in moments, the taste of food, the sound of laughter, the feeling of breath moving in and out. It means releasing the belief that you are running out of time, and instead, embracing the truth that you are living in eternity. Asterisk, what would happen if you began to live this way? Perhaps you would worry less about the future and regret less about the past. Perhaps you would love more freely, knowing that every moment is precious. Perhaps you would take risks you've been postponing, knowing there is no perfect time except now. And perhaps you would begin to see yourself not as a creature trapped in time, but as a timeless being exploring the illusion for the sake of growth. This shift changes everything. Suddenly, aging loses its sting, for you recognize that the body's years do not measure the soul. Success and failure lose their grip, for you see that both are temporary roles in a play. Even fear begins to dissolve, for what can time take from you if you are timeless? To awaken from the illusion of time is not to escape life, but to step into it more fully than ever before. For when you are no longer enslaved by hours and years, you can finally see the miracle of this very moment, the only moment that has ever truly existed. Asterisk. What is the real cost of living inside the illusion of time? It is not only stress, not only fear of aging or dying, but the loss of life itself. How many people spend their days waiting for a future that never comes? They say, I'll be happy when I graduate. I'll be happy when I get that job. I'll be happy when I find love, when I buy a house, when I retire. And then, when those moments finally arrive, they are already focused on the next. The present is never enough, because they are always chasing after a future that lives only in imagination. This is the tragedy of the illusion. We do not live, we wait. We wait for the right time, for the next opportunity, for the better moment. But in waiting, we miss what was always right here. And then at the end, we look back and realize we were never really present for the life we had. We lived in memories and fantasies, but rarely in the eternal now. To see through this illusion is to break this cycle of waiting. It is to understand that joy is not something that will arrive tomorrow, but something that exists here and now, if only we dare to see it. The child laughing in the street, the light streaming through your window, the beating of your own heart, these are not small things. They are eternity made visible in a single moment. But if your eyes are fixed on the clock, you will never see them. This is why so many spiritual traditions teach the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not about emptying the mind or becoming someone else. It is simply the art of returning to the present, again and again, until you realize that the present is all there ever was. In mindfulness, you discover that even the most ordinary moments shimmer with life. Washing dishes, walking outside, drinking water suddenly. These are no longer chores or filler time, but gateways into timelessness. Even science is beginning to confirm this. Studies show that people who practice mindfulness live with less stress, greater joy, and deeper health. Why? Because they are not trapped in the illusion of past and future. They are not spending their energy replaying regrets or anticipating fears. They are alive in the now, and the now nourishes them in ways time never could. And perhaps the greatest gift of breaking free from time is the transformation of how we see others. Normally, we judge people by their timelines. We measure their worth by what they have accomplished by a certain age, by whether they are ahead or behind. But when you see through time, you stop comparing. You realize that every soul is unfolding at its own pace, in its own rhythm, and that there is no too late in eternity. A flower does not bloom on a schedule, and neither do we. This frees us not only from judging others, but from judging ourselves. How often have you felt behind, as though you were running out of time to do what you were meant to do? This is the illusion speaking. In truth, you are exactly where you are meant to be. The pressure of time has blinded you to the perfection of your own unfolding. Your life is not late. It is not early. It is now, and now is enough. When you embrace this truth, you discover a deeper rhythm beneath the ticking of clocks. You begin to live by presence instead of by pressure. Decisions are made not from fear of running out of time, but from clarity about what matters in this moment. Relationships deepen because you are no longer half present, distracted by past and future. Work becomes less about rushing to meet deadlines and more about giving your full attention to what is in front of you. Even rest becomes sacred because you understand that every moment of stillness is eternity, expressing itself through you. But perhaps the most profound shift comes in how you see your own mortality. If time is an illusion, then death is not an end, but a transformation, the shedding of the clock's disguise. To live with this awareness is to live fearlessly, knowing that you are not running toward an end, but moving within an eternal dance. The body may age, the years may pass, but the timeless awareness that you truly are remains untouched. And here lies the greatest secret. When you awaken from the illusion of time, you do not lose anything, you gain everything. You gain your freedom, your joy, your presence. You gain the ability to see eternity in every breath, in every smile, in every heartbeat. You gain your life, not as a countdown, but as an endless unfolding of now. So perhaps the real illusion is not time itself, but our belief that we are trapped in it. For in truth, you were never bound by hours or years. You are the timeless observer, the eternal awareness in which time itself arises and dissolves. You are not ruled by time, you are the space in which time appears. And to realize this is to finally awaken, to step out of the dream, and to see that eternity has been with you all along. Asterisk, what happens when you finally see through the illusion of time? At first, it feels like waking up from a dream you didn't know you were in. The world looks the same, the clocks still tick, the calendar still turns, but something inside you has shifted. You realize that you are no longer at war with the clock. You are no longer chasing after a future or running from a past. Instead, you begin to live as though each moment is complete, perfect, and whole in itself. And with this realization comes a freedom so vast, so profound, that it cannot be measured in hours or years. This freedom reveals itself in small ways. You stop rushing through meals and begin to taste your food. You stop half listening to loved ones and begin to hear their words as though they were sacred. You stop filling silence with distraction and begin to rest in stillness, discovering that the present moment is alive with richness you had always overlooked. The illusion of time once made you blind. The awakening makes you see, and as you see, your values begin to change. Instead of striving endlessly for achievements you hope will bring happiness in some future moment, you begin to choose joy now. Instead of postponing peace until tomorrow, you begin to cultivate it today. Instead of saying, "One day I will live fully," you realize that day has already arrived, because it is always today, always now, always this. Even your ambitions take on a new light. Ambition is not abandoned, but it is no longer poisoned by fear of running out of time. You still dream, still create, still strive. But now, the striving is joyful, not desperate. You are no longer racing against the clock, but dancing with eternity. Every step, every action, every attempt becomes meaningful in itself. It's not just in the result it may one day bring. And when difficulties arise, as they always will, you no longer see them as wasted time. Instead, you see them as part of the eternal unfolding. Pain is not a punishment but a teacher. Delays are not failures, but pauses. Even loss becomes transformed, for you know that nothing real can ever be lost in eternity. Relationships may change, bodies may age, circumstances may shift, but the awareness in which all of this happens remains unshaken, timeless, infinite. Asterisk. Think of how this changes your fear of death. For most of us, death is terrifying because we believe it is the end of time, the final second on the clock. But when you see through the illusion, you realize that death is not the end. At all, it is the dissolving of the illusion. It is the moment when the soul steps out of the story of time and remembers its eternal nature. Suddenly, death loses its sting. Life becomes less about avoiding the end, to more about embracing the eternal now. The irony is that when you stop being afraid of running out of time, you begin to live more fully than ever before. You laugh more icily, love more deeply, forgive more quickly. You take risks you once avoided because you understand there's nothing to lose. You stop delaying joy because you know there is no future moment better than this one. You begin to see every moment as a gift, life itself as a miracle. And perhaps this is the great purpose of the illusion of time, to challenge us to awaken. To push us into fear so that we might discover courage, to blind us with the ticking of clocks so that we might rediscover the timeless self within. To teach us, through the limits of time, the truth of eternity. The illusion was never meant to imprison you forever. It was meant to lead you home, so here we are at the edge of the mystery. Time still ticks, the calendar still turns, and yet you now know these are only shadows. They are tools useful but not ultimate. The real truth cannot be found on a clock, but only in the silence of presence. The real treasure is not in years lived, but in moments awakened. Asterisk. And the question remains, how will you live now that you know the truth? Will you continue to chase after a tomorrow that never comes? Or will you dare to step into the eternity of now? Will you let time rule your life, or will you see it for what it is, a dream, an illusion, a veil, and awaken to the timeless reality that has always been within you? The choice is yours. And the moment to choose is not tomorrow, not someday, not later. It is now, always now. For now is eternity, disguised as a single breath, a single heartbeat, a single moment. So breathe deeply. Look around you. Feel the life that is here now. This is it, the eternal present. This is where your freedom lives, where your joy waits, where your true self resides. Time may continue to tick, but you no longer belong to it. You are timeless, infinite, eternal. You always were. You always will be.